Dear colleagues, we continue our working day. The next topic is introducing community candidates for the post of NACP Auditor who are to be submitted to the Cabinet of Ministers for approval under the government quota. Our speakers are Yaroslav Yurchyshyn, Executive Director of Transparency International Ukraine, Taras Shevchenko, Co-Head of Reanimation Package of Reforms, Daryna Kaleniuk, Executive Director of the AntiCorruption Action Center. Good afternoon, dear friends, dear audience. The purpose of our meeting is to propose the candidates for the National Anti-Corruption Bureau to be submitted to the Cabinet of Ministers. You know that 3 candidates are to be submitted, one from the Verkhovna Rada, one from the President, and one from the government. And you can see rather funny situation as concerns Nigel Brown, who is known by nobody, and this third candidature is proposed by the bloc of Petro Poroshenko bloc. But now we are talking about the potential candidate from the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. Civil society and international community has been tracing the developments very thoroughly. The meeting took place yesterday where the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Cabinet of Ministers, and the top officials were present to agree with the civil society representatives, the proposed candidates. The Cabinet of Ministers was motivated and persuaded to propose their own candidate. And Jovan Kessler, an Italian prosecutor, was proposed. He is a general director of the fraud combating office, but the Cabinet of Ministers denied the proposal of the presidential administration to choose the other candidate. And we, RPR and Transparency International Center for Combating Corruption, I hope Daryna Kaleniuk will come soon because the Anti-Corruption Action Center conducted the most efforts. In our list we have internationally recognized experts. And what are the criteria for this position for the candidates? Taras will tell about this, but I will tell you about the candidates which we selected upon the long negotiations and why these candidates, why these personalities are important. The nominees who we will propose for the Cabinet of Ministers quota, the U.S. Resident Marta Borsch. She was one who could get the punishment for Pavlo Ryzharenko. She was investigating his case. Carlos Castresana is Spanish, the Spanish prosecutor who was heading the Commission for Combating Corruption in Guatemala. Last year he was in visit in Ukraine. From time to time he provides consultations to Ukrainian law enforcement offices. It is very important that he helped to detect the top level corruption in Guatemala. Alfonso Portillo, ex-president, was involved in the corruption case, and he found that the third candidate is Giovanni Kessler, who supports his he was the director of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. His position is usually uncompromised. We have the independent National Anti-Corruption Bureau thanks to his efforts. In our discussions, we also thought about Yuta Strik, as she is headed Latvian and as analogous of National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and Mr. Uga from Transparency International, but we decided that these three candidates who you see on the screen, they will be most proper, most adequate candidates for this position out of those five. Why we decided to select international the person from the other country? Because this is the requirement of the legislation, and there is this scenario when some Nigel Brown, who is unknown by anyone, that he will become international auditor. In his first press conference, he said that NABU doesn't work properly, that they do not work adequately for the money they are paid. So we hope that the cabinet will offer an independent candidature. We will not propose any dependent candidates. There is the minority. A person has one vote. If an international candidate is thrown, it will have authority which will prevent the majority of the committee to program a priori the negative opinion or not well thought opinion. As concerns a Ukrainian personality, he or she will not have enough political weight and the expertise in law enforcement system auditing, because we have never conducted audits of law enforcement system and security system. We should start our life in this audited law enforcement systems which are under control. The resolution to select Nigel Brown is already on the agenda, and this violates the regulations, the procedure of Verkhovna Rada voting. Also, the committee already had the meeting. We hope that the cabinet, which already declared the statement, and if the cabinet of ministers will choose someone of these three candidates on the screen, this would be very high level, so then the president will not be able to offer not so strong candidate. If some unknown Ukrainian candidate, and we have already seen today in Facebook that Ukrainian persons are ready and they send their CVs for an auditor. If they are selected, then there will be an opinion which will not be well grounded. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau works substandardly not at high quality, and Mr. Sitnik will be fired then. We are interested in high quality opinion, and our proposal to the cabinet is Miss Marta, Mr. Carlos, or Mr. Giovanni. These three candidates completely meet the criteria.
Thank you, Yaroslav. Good afternoon. I would like to say that these candidates that were presented, this is coordinated candidates with the civil society organizations. These three specialists were selected according to those criteria that are provided in law, and civil society organizations believe that this is the best practices, and the legislation provides rigid requirements to auditors. They should have extensive experience in investigative bodies, prosecutor's office, working abroad or in international organizations. All three of the proposed candidates are the prosecutors with big experience. And we say that this bureau will undergo audit for the first time, and we still have to develop standards how this audit will be carried out, because they do not have experience in this. That's why it is really important that among the candidates there are such people who did such audits for the developed countries, for law enforcement bodies, for example, in US, and they have experience how to carry out such audits. Because first they should create a technical task, what will be the conclusion, what will be the markers, how the assessment to be made. So that's why prosecutors with international experience from foreign countries, in this case, they are in better position in order to complete this task. And also, I would like to support the idea voiced by Mr. Yurchyshyn that we understand that the power tried to use this contest in order to influence the activity of the body that is now, we believe, is the most independent in the system of law enforcement. And a lot is done in order to discredit this body in the media, and they use this nomination of politically dependent auditors of to the bureau in order to remove the head of this body and and I believe that this body carried out independent investigations concerning, for example, head of fiscal service, and it was a known case, and people came in the streets to the building of court, and in 3 years I don't remember such a moment when people for 24 hours were staying in the street, and in Kiev we didn't have this from the times of the Revolution of Dignity, and this is an important issue, the selection of auditors, and I believe that civil society organizations, they provided quality candidates, and I believe that the Cabinet of Ministers will choose one of them. And thank you, Taras. And now, Daryna Kaleniuk, Executive Director of AntiCorruption Action Center. Thank you for coming. And on Friday, when we got information that Cabinet of Ministers needed help, we contacted all three candidates. And at the time, they were not candidates at that moment. And we wrote that there is such a situation in Ukraine. There is a new body, National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and we need your help. And we need to carry out independent audit, for external audit, not financial audit, but the audit of what, in what way they carry out investigation. So these people will get access to unique information. Not all information is disclosed. There is secret information, of course, but the unique information will be provided to these people. That's why there should be a high level of trust to auditors, to external auditors. This is for the first time this audit of National Anti-Corruption Bureau will be held. And we address the people who are the best in their field. And I was surprised because on Saturday everyone responded and they said, thank you for writing to us and please provide additional information. And we spoke to Carlos Casterson and we communicated through email with Marta Bursch, and Giovanni Kessler was nominated by the European Union, and the Anti-Corruption Bureau also recommended him. That's why he provided his consent. Marta Bursch, Sunday morning, she said that she understands the importance of this and she is ready to support. And Carlos Castresana also said that this is important, and he said that this audit, maybe we should first communicate with the investigators for it, so they post professional questions. What information they will be provided? What are the technical tasks? Whether the National Anti-Corruption Bureau is obliged to provide logistical support, who will provide translation of this. So when you communicate with such people, you understand that they know their job. And Carlos Casterson, he had the similar bureau in Guatemala, and there were a lot of attacks on him, and General Prosecutor's Office delayed the cases because it wasn't reformed, and Carlos he dismissed 2 general prosecutors. He understands how it feels to be in the shoes of the manager of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and I believe he can independently and properly assess and carry out the audit. And this external audit of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau is one of the requirements of International Monetary Fund. And when this draft law was provided, they said that this norm should be included. And each year we should reinforce the external control and guarantee and provide measures in order that the head of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, that he should be independent and show results. And the IMF, they and the last draft memorandum that is present on the internet, this is not official, but IMF demands to coordinate technical tasks for auditors before the audit be held. And everyone says about this audit of National Anti-Corruption Bureau, but no one knows how this will be carried out. And this technical tasks should be coordinated with the IMF. So Robert Storch is ideal in this, and Robert Storch, who is recommended by an anti-corruption committee. He devoted his life to audits of anti-corruption bodies and law enforcement bodies. That's why we leave it to the parliament. And I believe that lay people, they can understand the difference between Nigel Brown and Robert Storch. People who carry out the audit of FBI, this is high level. And we didn't include Robert because we believe that they will vote for a person with a world-known name whom we will trust and who can carry out this important task, the audit of National Anti-Corruption Bureau. Now questions. Do you have questions?
Kaluzhna, on 24th channel, has you had any response already from the Cabinet of Ministers? Really, they want to propose these candidates or not? The communication with the cabinet has been conducted all the time. First version is that they might choose a candidate from these three candidates, or they may select a person from Ukraine, just saying that we have enough Ukrainians with good expertise, but we are sure that there are no people with such expertise in Ukraine. The initiative was by Ukrainian authorities, but the advice was from the IMF to select from these candidates. The sitting of the cabinet will demonstrate us the result if an international auditor is selected from this person, or if Ukrainian or non-Ukrainian Nigel Brown will be selected. This would be very bad. Now we think that everything moves to monopoly. They may monopolize the power. We have the information that the cabinet has not approved the first not strong candidate. I would like to add the person, all these three auditors will get access to unique information. That is why there is a risk of appointing not strong candidates if the success is provided to a person with not strong reputation. We don't know what Nigel Brown and his company dealt with. Except his information, except Google information that he was a private detective. We have no other information. So this is very risky candidate. This is an unpredicted candidate. And also then we will also be imposed the risk of spilling out this information. This will mean that the cases may be broken. Andriy Megil, Institute of Liberalism. If not good candidate is selected, what could be the next steps for the civil society to have the transparent and fair procedure of voting? If Nigel Brown is voted today, this would be enough for us to appeal against this voting, because the fake committee on anti-corruption, it was met in violation of the Verkhovna Rada's decision, and such appeal will be submitted to the court from the chairman or member of the committee. And we will also proceed with our adequate candidates. We will look into the final three candidates version. If the parliament vote for Nigel Brown today, we will know that this was not the parliament, it was Petro Poroshenko who has selected this candidate, and everyone should understand that, including the civil society. We have not visited Petro Poroshenko's place for a long time. If so important position as a member, as an independent auditor, then we will remind